Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Crypto Privacy Conference organized by the Fidelity Center for Applied Technology. My name is Ria Butoria. I lead the research efforts for Fidelity Digital Assets, and I will be your MC for the duration of the conference. FCAT has put together an incredible two-day virtual event on all things crypto privacy that will run from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. today and tomorrow. The sessions will consist of non-technical and technical keynotes and panels with the industry's most knowledgeable thinkers on topics related to Bitcoin privacy, cryptography, financial privacy, and privacy-focused businesses. Just some housekeeping before we get started. There will be no audience Q&A for any of the events, and we will have closed captioning turned on for each session automatically, but if you want to turn it off, you can make the changes through the live transcript button on the bottom of your screen. I'll now turn it to Deanna Laufer, technology researcher at Fidelity's Center for Applied Technology, who is going to kick off the conference with an overview of the evolution of privacy.
Thank you, Ria. Can you hear me and see my slides? I'm going to take that as a yes. Welcome, everybody. I am so pleased and speaking on behalf of the Conference Planning Committee to be kicking off what I hope to be an engaging, thought-provoking, and informative two-day conference. Some of you might be wondering why we chose privacy as the topic this year. After all, privacy is something that we've been talking about for 100 years. And in fact, it was 130 years ago when Louis Brandeis famously authored the right to privacy in the Harvard Law Review, saying that recent inventions and business methods call attention to the next step which must be taken for the protection of the person and for securing to the individual the right to be let alone, or what we now know as the right to privacy. Now, the invention and business methods he was referring to were the portable camera and the advent of celebrity journalism, which was scandalous in those days. But it was a prophetic piece because, of course, technology has just become more obtrusive, business methods more invasive, and the right to privacy just as ambiguous. It's not just portable cameras that we have to worry about anymore, but a vast array of security cameras saturating our streets, now equipped with facial recognition. China has one camera for every 4 residents that are used to look for criminal activity, but have also been used to spot and shame jaywalkers or grandmas that wear their pajamas outdoors. But China's not alone in this. The average American is caught on camera 75 times a day, the average Londoner more than 300 times a day. Those who choose to stay in their homes are just as subject to surveillance via web crawlers, cookies, location-hungry apps, smart speakers that are constantly listening, smart TVs that are so cheap because they're subsidized by the data that they sell to advertisers and aggregators, your smart fridge, which takes photos of your food 12 times a day and uploads it to the cloud, and your neighbor's smart doorbell that watches for visitors and shares it with local police departments. Now, I don't mean to be so one-sided. There's obviously real benefits to these technologies too. I've been reading how police in New Delhi are using facial recognition to identify missing children and reunite them with their families. In Massachusetts, officials monitor social media feeds and intervene on behalf of students who may have demonstrated intent to self-harm. And of course, who doesn't want their fridge to notify them when they're out of pistachio ice cream? But on the whole, these technologies are really concerning some consumers. 81% of Americans feel like they have little to no control over the data that companies collect about them. And the same percentage believe that the potential risk of companies collecting data outweigh any benefits. So there used to be this give and take where in exchange for data, you would get rewards or coupons or personalized services. And now people feel like the pendulum has swung too far in favor of those companies, or in some cases, the government that is collecting data. And 6 in 10 US adults no longer think it's possible to go through daily life without having data collected about them. Some of these fears extend into money, payments, and spending too, of course. One poll shows that half of North American and European consumers say they're wary of digital payments because of concerns for their personal data. For a long time, physical cash has been the most private way to transact. A civil liberty group contends that without cash, there's, quote, no chance for the kind of dignity-preserving privacy that undergirds an open society. And just like the right to privacy itself, the tension between the ease of credit cards and digital payments and the inherent confidentiality of cash has started to swell over decades. But now we have a new technology that marries the anonymity of cash with the ease of digital payments. And of course, I'm talking about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. But there's a lot of questions still, a lot of researchers and academics looking at these things, like, is Bitcoin really anonymous? And how can institutions meet their KYC AML requirements? How will emerging privacy enhancing techniques like zero knowledge proofs advance privacy for cryptocurrencies in the blockchain? Will consumers really trust that centrally backed digital currencies are private? These and many more questions are what we hope to explore over these next 2 days. And Ria has already introduced the 4 themes for our conference, but I want to talk a little bit more about some of the things you can expect within these themes of Bitcoin privacy. We're going to have talks on secure wallets, as well as larger topics like the importance of Bitcoin to financial sovereignty and blockchain analysis for building trust and transparency. Within the topic of cryptography, we have a panel of experts from academia on deck later this afternoon to talk about emerging cryptographic techniques. Within the topic of broader issues of financial privacy, we have a panel of experts discussing about centrally backed digital currencies, and also a talk tomorrow on how financial privacy regulations are evolving. And finally, within our topic of privacy-focused businesses, we have a few panels talking about what does it mean to design a business with privacy as a competitive advantage. And we'll be talking to investors that look at blockchain-based startups and talking to them more specifically about what they're looking for when investing in these nascent businesses.